Welcome to my YouTube channel Lotus Domino TV. Today I'm going to show you AWS interview questions on Amazon EC2 Part 2. Here is more than 50 plus questions and answer on Amazon EC2. First question is what happened to my data when the system is terminated? The data is stored on the local instances stored will persist only as long that instance alive. However, the data is stored on the Amazon EC2 EBS volume will persist independently on of the life of instances. Therefore, we recommended that you use the local instances stored for temporary data. For data requiring a high level of durability, we recommend using the Amazon EBS volume, backing up the data to Amazon S3. If you are using Amazon EBS volume as a root partitions, you will need to set a delete on terminate flag to no. If you want to if you want your Amazon EBS volume to persist outside the life of the instances. Do you support multiple instances accessible to a single volume? Yes, you can enable the multiple attach ABS provisions IOPS IO1 volume to allow the volume to be concurrently attached to up to 16 Nitro based EC2 instances within the same availability zone. Will I able to access my ABS snapshot using the regular S3 APIs? No, ABS snapshots are only available throughout the Amazon EC2 APIs. Or a snapshot version. Can I read older snapshot to be do it the point in the time of recovery? Each snapshot is given a unique identifier, and the customer can create a volume based on the based on any of their existing snapshot. Can user of Amazon ABS share snapshots changes any data? User who permissions to create a volume based on your shared snapshot will first make a copy of a snapshot into their in their account. User can modify their own copies of data, but the data of your original snapshots, any other volume created by the other users from the original snapshot will remain unmodified. Do you offer the encryption Amazon ABS volume as and a snapshot? Yes, ABS offer the seamless encryptions of the data volume as snapshot. ABS encryption better enable you to meet the security encryption compliance requirements. What is EC2 instances type and AMI work with Amazon EFS? Amazon EFS is compatible with all Amazon EC2 instances type and accessibility from the Linux-based AMI. You can mix and match instances type connected to single file system. For a step-by-step example to access the file system from the Amazon EC2 instances. How do I access my file system outside my VPC? Amazon instances Amazon EC2 instances within your VPC can access file system directly, and the EC2 Amazon EC2 in classic instances outside your VPC can mount a file via the classic link. On-premises server can mount your file system via AWS Direct connection to your VPC. How many Amazon EC2 instances can connect to the file system? Amazon EFS supports 1 to thousands of Amazon EC2 instances connecting in a file system concurrently. Why should I use EFA? EFA bring the scalability, flexibility, and elasticity of the cloud tightly couples HPC applications. With EFA tightly coupled HPC applications have access to lower and more consistent latency and higher throughput than the traditional TCP channel, enable them to do a scale better. EFS support can be enabled dynamically on demand and supported to EC2 instances without pre-reservations, giving you the flexibility to the resource to changing the business and workload priorities. What are the prerequisites to enabling EFA on an instance? EFA supports EFA support can be enabled either the launch of the instances are added to the stop instances. EFA device cannot be attached to running instances. Why I am limited to the five elastic IP address per region? IPv4 internet address are scarce resources. There is only limited amount of public IP space available. The Amazon EC2 is committed to helping the use to the space efficiently, but by default, all accounts limited to 5 elastic IP address per region. If you need more than 5 elastic IP, we ask you to apply to your limited to be raised. When should I use the classic load balancer, and when should I use the application load balancer? The classic load balancer are ideal for the simple load balancer for traffic across the multiple EC2 instances. While the application load balancer is ideal for the applications needing advanced routing capabilities and microservices and container-based architecture. Why is enhanced networking only support in Amazon VPC? Amazon VPC allow you to deliver many advanced networking features you that are not possible in EC2 Classic. EC2 enhanced networking in another example of the capability enable of the Amazon VPC. How do I prevent other people from the view my system? You have a complete control over the visibility of the system. The Amazon EC2 security system that allow you to piece for your running instances into capabilities group of your choice. Using the web services interface, you can specify which a group may be communicate with which other groups, and also which IP subnets on the internet may talk to other groups. This allow you to control the access to the instances in our highly dynamic environment. Of course, you should also secure your instance as you would any other server. Which operating system does Amazon CloudWatch support? Amazon CloudWatch provide metrics all Amazon EC2 instances, and should work with any operating system currently supported by Amazon EC2 services. Can I access matrices data for terminated Amazon EC2 instances? Yeah, deleted elastic load balancer. Yes, Amazon CloudWatch stored metrics for terminated Amazon EC2 instances. Yeah, deleted elastic load balancer for 2 weeks. Does Amazon CloudWatch monitoring charges changes depending on this which types of Amazon EC2 instances I monitor? No, Amazon CloudWatch monitoring the charge does not vary by the Amazon EC2 instances type. Can I automatically scale Amazon EC2 auto scaling group? Yes, Amazon EC2 auto scaling is a fully managed service designed to launch and terminate Amazon EC2 instance automatically to help to ensure you to have the correct number of Amazon EC2 instance available to handle the load for the applications. EC2 EC2 scale EC2 auto scaling help you to maintain the application availability throughout the fleet management for EC2 instances, which detect the replace unhealthy instances by the scaling of the EC2 capability up and down automatically according to the conditions you define. You can use EC2 auto scaling to automatically increase the number of the Amazon EC2 instance during the demand spike to maintain the performance and decrease the capability during the low to reduce the cost. Why should I hibernate an instances? You can hibernate an instance to get your instance application up and running quickly. If you take a long time to bootstrap load memory, you can start instance bringing them to resort state and hibernate them. This pre-warm instances can be resumed to reduce the time it takes for an instance to return to service. Uh, Hibernate retain the memory state and cross the stop and start cycle. What is the difference between the hibernate and the stop? In this case, the hibernate your instance get into hibernated and the RAM data persisted. In the case of the stop, your instance gets shut down and RAM is clear. What data is saved when I hibernate an instance? EBS volume data, boot volume and attached volume, memory and RAM are saved. Your private IP remain the same for VPC as does elastic IPs if applicable. Network layer behavior will be similar to the EC2 stop state workflow. What is VM import and export? VM import and export enable your customer to import the virtual machines image in order to create Amazon EC2 instances. A customer can also export the previous imported EC2 instances to create a VM. Customer can use VM import exports to leverage their previous investment in the building the VM by the migrating their VM to the Amazon EC2. What is the virtual machine file format are supported? How do I prepare the VHD file for importing the Microsoft Hyper-V? Open the Hyper-V manager and select the virtual machine I want to export in the action panels virtual machine and export. Initial the export task. Once the export task completed, you can locate the VHD image and the destination directory you can specified in the export dialog. Can I export EC2 instances that have one or more EBS data volume attached? Yes, but VM import exports will only export boot volume of the EC2 instances. How many simultaneous import export tasks can I have? Each account can have up to 5 active import tasks and 5 export tasks per region. Can I run imported virtual machine in the virtual Amazon virtual private cloud? Yes. Yes, you can launch imported virtual machine within the Amazon VPC. If you have two instances, two different reasons, how can I reach for the data transfer? Each instance is charged for its data in the data out inter-region data transfer rate. Therefore, if the data is transferred between these two instances, if it is a charge inter-region data transfer out. for the first instances and enter data transfer for the second instances. What is the convertible RI? Convertible RI type of reserve instances with attribute can be changed during the terms. What is the Amazon EC2 Fleet? Within the API calls EC2 fleets, you provision compute capacity across the different instances type availability zone, across on-demand reserve instances and exports instances purchase models to help optimize the scale and performance cost. What is the pricing for the Amazon EC2 Fleet? EC2 Fleet can no additional charge, so you can pay for underlying resources that EC2 Fleet launch. And can you provide the real world example for how can I use for EC2 Fleet? There are a number of the way of take advantage for EC2 Fleet, such as big data workload, container applications, grade processing workloads. In example of the geometric sequencing workload, you can launch a grid of a worker node with a single API call. Select your favorite instances, assign weight for the instances, a specified target of capacity for demands on demand and exports instances, and building the fleet within the second and crunch down the geometric data quickly. Can I modify the Amazon EC2 fleet? Yes, you can modify the total target of capacity EC2 fleet in the maintained model. You may need to cancel the request, submit the new request, and change other request configuration parameter. What is the reserve instances? Reserve instances is offering that provide you to significant discounts on EC2 when you use commitment to 1 year and 3 year terms. How many types of size flexibility work? The EC2 scale below the compare different size of within the instance family. In case of the instance flexible size flexibility on RI, this scale used to apply discounted rate or RI to normalize uses of instances family. How many exports instance different than the on-demand reserved instances? While running sports instances are exactly the same, the on-demand and reserved instances. The main difference are the sports instances are offered significant discounts of on-demand price. Your your instances can be interrupted by the Amazon EC2 capacity requirement within 2 minutes notifications. And exports price adjust gradually based on the long-term supply on and demand spare EC2 capacity. How do I purchase the startup exports instances? Exports instance can launch using the same tool you use launch instances today, including AWS Management Console, auto scaling group, and run instance on the sports fleets. In additionally, many AWS services are launching sports instances and such EMR, ECS, and data pipeline, CloudFormation, and CloudWatch. Which operating systems are available as sports instances? Unix, Linux, Windows servers, Red Hat are all available. Windows servers with SQL is not currently available. How isolated availability zone from the one to another? Each availability zone run it on physical distant independent infrastructure and ensuring to be highly reliable. Common point of failure like generator and cooling equipment is not shared across the availability zones. Additionally, there are physically separate, such as even extremely uncommon disaster and such as fire and tornadoes and flooding would only affect the single availability zone. What is the cluster compute instances? The cluster compute instances combine the high compute resources with the high performance networking for high performance compute application and application and other demanding network bound. applications. Cluster computer instances provide similar functionality to the other EC2 instances, but others have been especially engineered to provide the high performance networking. What is the cluster group? What is the cluster placement group? Cluster placement group is a logical entity enabled to creating a cluster instances by launching and starting a part of the group. And the cluster of instances provide a low latency of connectivity between the instances and the group. Cluster placement groups are created through the Amazon EC2 APIs, Amazon AWS console management. What CPU options are available on EC2 instances? EC2 instances offer a variety of CPUs options help to customer balance performance and cost requirement depending on the instance type. EC2 offers choice of CPUs including AWS Graviton tools, AMD processor, Intel processor. What is a Nitro hypervisor? Uh, the launch of EC2 E5 instances, the new hypervisor of EC2 Nitrovisor as a component of a Nitro system. The Nitro hypervisor primarily provides CPU memorized solutions for EC2 instances. Uh, VPC networking and ABS storage resource implemented by the directed hardware component. Nitro cards that are the part of all current generations by EC2 instances family. How will my application performance change when they optimize the CPU on EC2? Your application performance with the optimized CPU will large depending on the workload you are running on EC2. We encourage you to benchmark your application performance with this optimized CPU and arrive at the right number of CPUs and optimal hyper threading behaviors for your application. Please subscribe and like my channel. Thank you very much.